Okay, so here we are, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 Rewritten. Now I should mention I'm not going to be covering any of the prequel comics, they're mostly just going to stay the same. So yeah, let's get started. Act 1, the setup. So, on the Mushroom Planet, we would see a whole bunch of mushroom buildings being made, almost as if a mushroom city is being made. We'd see then a small mushroom grow and a little rock would be rolling out. And it would, of course, follow after a little made-up Sonic who, of course, falls down on this bit with some somewhat berries, and it gets crushed and enters into a machine before entering into an open cup. We then see Robotnik sit down, overlooking his scrapped egg pod, and him reminiscing of how he's been on this planet for less than 240 days, and that his only companion is a rock he named Stone. And whoever is answering this, he would then comment on how that the planet has a breathable atmosphere, but is mostly surrounded in mushrooms, and that his industrial factory that his Builderbots built is not showing its particularly good age, as most of the resources were used to try and make escape plans, so that Robotnik can return to Earth, and his resources are drying out, and his bandmates have turned towards using solar energy instead of actually, well, anything else. Robotnik talks about how he's also become one of the legendary players at something that he likes to call mushroom chess, and he's the only #1 champion at it, so there's no one who can be the #1. He is undefeatable. And we would see him talking to himself in the mirror, clearly going insane, and how he's developed a very unique type of special drink, a mushroom bar, and a very tasty beverage, mushroom lattes, with some very disgusting stuff put into it. Robotnik mentions on how it gets even worse every time he drinks it, but has to in order to stay alive. However, he did mention on one of his days he did find something interesting, that the entire planet is surrounded by these small little things he dubs critters, and that there's many different ones. And so Robotnik decides to capture one of them, to see if they could possibly pose as a very good energy source to get him out of the situation. So he sets up a small little trap, and he manages to lure one of them in. And after when he does that, he places it inside a hamster wheel and gives them basically something for them to eat, a mushroom, which they seem to like. Robotnik then heads over to this old portal thing, and he begins to type coordinates to Earth, hoping that perhaps maybe the device would work. As he begins to type it in, the animal begins to run, and the energy it begins to develop is positive. However, it then begins to fry and short circuit really quickly before electrocuting, well, everything. The animal ends up escaping, and the power blows up. The machine just gets destroyed and fried. And Robotnik is very furious. He starts kicking around materials, starts bashing things out. He then walks over to a mushroom, which he has designed like Sonic, and begins to punch it, almost like a punching bag basically, as he starts jumping up and down in anger. And he just lets out his anger and rage. that his insanity has finally reached its peak on this planet. He's done. He is going to destroy everything the Hedgehog loves. Everything that he's done to him. Everything. But then Robotnik thinks of an idea. The Hedgehog. And looks at the quill that he has. The only thing that's been giving him a little bit of power, considering it's unlimited. Robotnik then goes to the drawing board and comes up with some ideas, and discovers one that ends up catching his eye, one that changes everything. So he begins to pull parts out of his egg pod, and, well, he ends up building something quite unique. He builds what he dubs the Egg Beacon, or the Mushroom Beacon. And he heads up to the top, programming its energy and equipping Sonic's quill to it, which would be its power source. He mentions how, if his calculations are correct, which I always am, then the quill will power the masterpiece. And he then decides to activate its power, flicking on the switches, altering anything in its way, and presses the button. However, it then electrocutes the system and Robotnik is sent back. And the energy is spread across the entire planet and into the galaxy. Later that night, a ring portal opens up, and a group of bird hunters enter out. And, well, they look around, hoping that maybe they'd find something of Sonic. But they're surprised when they see Dr. Robotnik unconscious, and as they try to grab the quill, Robotnik wakes up, declaring them that they've fallen right into his trap, as he activates one of them, being a massive boulder and log that crushes two of them. Robotnik ultimately laughs at this. However, one of them grabs out a bunch of weapons, and Robotnik summons a bunch of his badniks. And this guy manages to destroy some of the badniks, but they do manage to get a good hit on him, surprisingly. But he still is persistent, running towards Dr. Robotnik. But Robotnik has a backup plan. He says to Agent Stone, it's time, before pressing a button, and it launches out a massive rock of Agent Stone, sending it crashing towards the guy. And, well, Robotnik is surprised. He did all that and it went according to plan. He mentions how now it's time to get off this wasteful place. He then runs with his badniks to get out, to escape that portal, to just escape that world in general. And just as it looks like everything's going his way, a mysterious figure walks towards the portal, catching Robotnik off guard. The Doctor ends up slipping up, holding nothing but Sonic's quill, and some of the other badniks wait with Robotnik, as they see that this person is a lot more deadlier, and it's revealed on who it is. Knuckles steps forward with all of his might. He then approaches Dr. Robotnik, asking him where did he get that quill. Robotnik looks at the quill before telling him that it was from a little blue menace on the planet called Earth. I would be honoured to show you the way. In fact, I know where he is. Take me to Earth, and I'll lead you straight towards him. Knuckles doesn't even say any words, but you kind of get the hint that he is taking him to Earth. And with that, we have our title scene. We have our title card, which then comes up as Sonic 2. In the streets of Seattle, we would see at night that there would be a military truck driving away with a ton of equipment while being pursued by the police. The robbers have a bunch of stolen Robotnik tech, as they state that this genius must have had a lot of expensive weaponry, as they activate some bombs and throw them out. These bombs create electronic magnetic fields that end up taking out some of the cars and causing explosions. They even get access to some of the egg drones. And we would see Sonic standing on top of the building as he would be doing his stretches before jumping off and running down into the streets below. Sonic would of course be avoiding traffic, doing his normal thing, before going directly up to the military truck and taking out the guards and also, well, robbers. You would then notice some of the technology being Eggman related and would be very surprised. Sonic declares them that they do not have the right to use this stuff, that it's evil. And then Sonic notices a bunch of bombs and throws them into the garbage truck as it just explodes, catching everyone off guard. Just then, Sonic notices that everything's gonna go horribly wrong, so he grabs out a drill and deconstructs the entire van, which is insane. Just then, the police arrive to arrest the bad guys, and Sonic decides to make a getaway. As he looks on from the sky above, calling himself Blue Justice. And during the morning, we would see Sonic racing back across Green Hills, meeting characters like Wade along the way, Crazy Carl, and many more. And we would even see Sonic get into his house, or into his bedroom, sorry, and he and Tom would go fishing. And yeah, it's kind of them talking, and Tom mentions about the Seattle incident, saying that it was wrong what Sonic did, and that it was reckless and that he put others in danger. That's not what a hero does. But he says that Sonic's got some more growing up to do. And Sonic can kind of agree, but he decides to just let it go. Meanwhile, Tom and Maddie are excited to attend Rachel's wedding in Hawaii, and Sonic ends up giving them a little send-off. And him and Ozzy have the place to themselves, and this is where they suddenly start partying, making a mess of everything, and Sonic ultimately just destroys everything. Tails would, of course, come along through Ring Portal and would see what's going on, as he would struggle to find where Sonic is. So, he heads towards the police station and does some analysis. Meanwhile, Sonic notices that there's a power cut in the house, as he sees a silhouette of a creepy person on the wall. He then heads to the door to check who it is. And Sonic then is surprised when he sees the door flash open and a whole bunch of egg drones come flying out, as Robotnik stands there menacingly. Sonic asks how on earth did he even survive this, and then why is he back? To which Robotnik replies that simply, you may have banished me, but that doesn't mean I'm out of the game completely. And I was just waiting for the moment to come back. Sonic gets charged up when he hears that Tom's going to destroy everything Sonic loves. Just then, Knuckles comes flying in just as Sonic's about to punch Robotnik, and Sonic and Knuckles fight, with Knuckles mostly gaining the upper hand. Knuckles even calling Sonic pathetic and pitiful. and Robotnik introduces Knuckles to Sonic, to which Knuckles states that he doesn't even need Sonic's power. He's plenty capable. And Sonic charges up his energy, ready to fight Knuckles as he dashes towards him, but Knuckles grabs him by the hand and slams him to the ground, creating an energy wave that can be seen from the mountainside. Knuckles grabs Sonic by the throat, pinning him against a tree and talking about the history of Longclaw. Before a car runs over Knuckles, and Tails manages to rescue Sonic, but they get pursued by Knuckles, who of course ends up jumping off the car as it explodes, and Sonic and Tails retreat into darkness. Robotnik catches up and is a bit annoyed that all of this failed and some of his Batmobs got destroyed. So, he decides to send out a message to the one henchman who can help, Agent Stone, who's at none other than the Mean Bean coffee shop. And after receiving the message of "prepare my latte," Stone kicks out all of the people there, even some of the employees. And he scans one of the eyes and presses one of the buttons, revealing something very cool. As he does, in space, a pod containing all of Dr. Robotnik's supplies launches. And Stone is happy that Robotnik's back. He can't wait to see him. He feels so happy. The pod lands down below, revealing that it's, egg-shaped. As Robotnik steps in to change, a whole bunch of Badniks as well as Buzz Bombers come out to play, as well as the Motobugs and Crabmeats. Robotnik would then suit up in an all-new outfit, wearing all new equipment, and Robotnik looks around at his Badnik army, all in amazement. Meanwhile, Knuckles is climbing up the walls, and Robotnik offers him assistance. And Knuckles declares he doesn't need his help, since they have no more use for each other. But Robotnik says he wants to hear more of this ultimate power, and he will help him find it. Now he offers his service to him, and Knuckles, breaks Robotnik's hand. But Robotnik states that first, before they head out, they should go and regroup, to say the least, plan our journey first. As he summons the Eggmobile,